recent example of how pathological demand-avoidance profile of autism is socially constructed by Richard Woods at London South Bank University, PhD student on a gap year. Um, so on the previous video, I ended on this tweet by it's Emily Katie on Twitter. So if you're an autistic person and you feel that you experience an autistic trait differently to the way everyone else seems to experience it, that doesn't mean that your experience is valid or that is not valid, or that you're any less autistic. I did a thread on Twitter responding to it, pointing out that it's basically seems to be apparently it's okay for some to prematurely claim that I do not have PDA. So an example of this is this attack on me by one peer profile of autism advocate. The paragraph here is where they're claiming that there are genuine PDA people and therefore implying that I do not have PDA. I've been told by one colleague of theirs that they think I do not have PDA, despite me going into emails basically they're not in a position to claim that I have PDA or not. But that's a separate topic. So why are some claiming that I do not have PDA? So that's because some people are arguing that PDA's demand avoidance is represented by involuntary and irrational demand avoidance, basically, while they're claiming that others have who they think have or claiming to have non-PDA have kind of rational demand avoidance. So basically they're saying that they have like good reasons or rational reasons to not to express the demand avoidance. I've got an entire separate 30-40 minute video critiquing that split to death and pointing out that it's really problematic. But also there's an example from the PDA Society's document it claims to be clinical governance. From its page 13 of it, basically saying that PDA profile autism has a illogical kind of demand avoidance, and therefore implying that non-PDA demand avoidance is therefore kind of rational or logical reasons for it. In relation to this, the full quoting the actual full thing for like PDA demand avoidance claimed by the PDA Society is, or it is everyday things somewhat illogical, in brackets, e.g. not being able to accept a drink when it's offered or put shoes on to leave the house, and or extend to activities that the individual is known to like/enjoy or need to do, e.g. In brackets, use the bathroom, close brackets, and it said maybe indicative of PDA. I've pointed out quite a lot that this claim split, they should not be seeing it whatsoever, or they shouldn't be seeing it to the extent at which they claim to be seeing it. So one of the examples I give is items from the cross-cutting symptom measure tool from the DSM-5 or the DSM-5-TR, and just reading out the items. Avoiding situations that make you anxious, I think, is from the self-report version, and from the observer rated version, it is said he or she cannot do things that he/she wanted to or should have done because they made him or her feel nervous. So the point is that the type of demand avoidance that's been claimed to be indicative of PDA is actually common, so therefore not specific to PDA. So why am I saying this is an example of how PDA is constructed? Because if you see the previous video, you will know all about this diagram, and this part of the loop here is how people's biases feed into how kind of diagnostic categories like autism, ADHD, borderline personality disorder, and PDA are socially constructed. So I'm pointing out the biases that these groups are pointing out seem to be feeding into how they're constructing PDA to be a profile of autism. Reflective questions are what do people expect from the situation with PDA profile when there is so much hype and risk of bias surrounding PDA, and the hype surrounding it and the risk of bias is noted quite often in PDA literature, and this kind of confusion around PDA profile of autism has been predicted for over 20 years at this point. And I point out, is it credible that only people who are experts on PDA, that the only experts on PDA are PDA profile of autism advocates? And how plausible is it that only ones who are credible information sources on PDA are PDA profile of autism proponents? So on that note, I'm going to end, and it's basically may one stimulating activities be many and one flow state long.